Hello everybody. So I come across this question all the time of people talking about their old floss and new floss and the different dye lots, and I have a 413 here, and I thought I had two of these, but I only had one when I started the project. So you can see these ones here are a slightly different shade of gray than the new skein. So what I do when I have these is I do a method called tweeting, and there's a lot of tweeting in my pattern. Move this paper out of the way. So when I do this, I'll take my old floss, and I've already done one strand like this, and I'll take one strand from that color. I'll put this out of the way here. Okay, so I'll take one strand, which will be this strand, and then I'll take one strand of the new color, and now when I put cut floss on my bobbin, I fold it in half so I know there's a loop, so I know that it's cut. Just makes it a little easier. Then I'll grab, oh, I lost my needle. Alright, then I'll grab one strand from the new skein, put that on. It's going to go on my needle. Boop, needle. Alright, put this back on my floss real quick so I don't have a bunch of floss hanging all over the place. Now, in the video, it's harder to tell the difference between the two flosses, but as we all know as stitchers, we can see the difference with our very discerning eyes, that they are not the same exact hue. Nobody else will tell the difference, but we know, and that's all that matters, right? So I will put these on my needle, and then I always use a needle threader, one of my favorite beaded tool fobs here. Okay, put that out of the way. Okay, then we have this on. So because we're doing this tweeting method, we can't do a loop start. So what I'll do is, because there's a lot of color changes in this particular pattern, as you can see, let me lower this a little bit. As you can see, this uses every shade of gray and black in DMC for this raven, and the color I am doing is 413, which is one color. But there is a lot of tweeting here with the V symbol and the M symbol, and they're both in this section. So we'll take a closer look at that so you can see the difference between the two. But when I start, because you can't do a loop start, I'll do an away start where I just come in further away from my stitch. Then I'll come up, and I'll hold tension in the back so I don't accidentally pull it all out, and I'll leave just a little tiny bit at the edge of my stitching here. Just a little tiny bit. My light's in the way, I'm sorry y'all. Okay, let me do a couple stitches. Let me just secure this stitch in before we do anything else. Okay, and one more leg there, come up for the next stitch, and I've got magnets glued to the side of my scroll frame. I can put my needle right there and I won't lose it. So once we've done that, we can, after you do a few stitches and you have your away stitches just hanging out away from your stitching, and you see how it's path is behind already done stitches, So that way, as I start stitching in new sections, I mean, you can even come up in the middle of the pattern. It won't show later. But as we come through these stitches, we have a less likely chance of grabbing these from the back and making them hard to stitch. So let me flip this over. Yep, there's my feet. You guys got to see my feet. And then you'll see here, there's my end. So then with the end, you can either use a needle that is shorter than your stitches, which would be like this 28 petite. But if you don't have one and you're using a longer one and you didn't need enough length, you can always feed it through a couple of stitches. 4 is usually good. And I found that if you push up when you're doing this, it makes it a little easier. All right, and you grab. This is my new style of making threaders with a little magnet in them, so I can stick them on the magnets that are on my frame. You just stick that through your eye hole. Pull it through. Okay, then I like to back it out a little bit, make a loop. Bring it to the end. This makes a difference when you pull it through because it makes it easier, so that way you can get your full ends through your stitches and the eyes all the way through your stitches you're going under, and it makes it easier to pull out. Some tweezers handy in case I can't get it through without. Oh, and look, it's coming through smoothly. See, just like that. And then that's all you have to do to get it started and stopped. And if you're doing a lot of stitching and you don't want to keep flipping it back and forth, this is a great method with the away starts and stops. So that way you can keep working without having to flip your work. My particular frame is easy to flip, but not everyone has a simple setup, so they don't want to keep slowing down, because mine literally will just turn. And there's my magnets, just dollar store magnets right on my frame, and then I can just keep stitching. And I hope that this has helped y'all when it comes to these 2 different color lot numbers with your flosses, and then when you're stitching you can't even tell the difference. So if you've hung around this long, let's take a closer look at my cross stitch here. So, alright, sorry about that. Okay, so here's the stitch we just did with the 2 different color flosses, and you can't really tell the difference. I'm going to zoom in. Okay, try to hold still for you guys. Alright, so that's the one we just did. Now if you look, very shaky stand, but if you look, where's my needle? Okay, here, this stitch is this is 317 and 414, and you can tell that there's 2 different distinct grays. And then over here, this is black and 37.99, and you can tell those are 2 different colors. But with the tweeted ones, because they are so close, even though they're different dye lots, it's very difficult to tell the difference between the 2. And I do apologize for the shaking, because I'm holding everything and my stand is wobbly. I do plan on doing a video for you guys with my new setup in my new apartment with an actual dedicated craft area. So you guys can look forward to that. I'd like to thank all 16 of my subscribers, because you are making the dream come true. And you guys have an absolutely wonderful day, and happy stitching.